Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk About Life. Thank you so much for being here, for choosing to have this conversation with me. And I am so grateful for all of you for being here, for your time. And I was wondering, what should we talk about this time? And
Lost you. You're on mute. Can't hear you.
mute. Now I'm okay?
Yeah, now you're good. Yeah.
Okay. So as I was wondering what topic to take up this time, what popped up was triggers. How many of us get triggered by so many different things? We get triggered by situations, we get triggered by people. It's mostly people, right? We get triggered by something that somebody does and it gets our goat. So that's what I wanted to talk about. But I'm also happy to talk about anything else that you would like to talk about. So we could begin with questions if anybody has any, and take it from there and then move into triggers. I'm happy to do that as well. So if anybody has any questions for me today, which you would like some contribution towards. Yes, Nambo?
Hello. I feel like I got in at the right time. I logged in and you said, does anybody have questions?
Cool, tell me.
The word trigger is why I joined. People trigger maybe sometimes, but actually it's the energy or some lie in them that triggers me. And now, and thank you because you've helped me acknowledge this, is as soon as I realize that something is triggering, I'm like, okay, what is this? What about this do I need to, acknowledge? But the one thing that I haven't been able to is a triggering behavior. When people have involuntary behaviors, noises that they make, I need to leave. And I'm actually taking therapy for it, but I would like some ease with not reacting and not getting so disturbed. Like if somebody's chewing or slurping, I'm beyond me. Like it's... And I sit behind two Chinese people who order noodle soup every day. You have no idea just what distress it's causing. And I, like 3 hypnotherapy sessions later, I'm still like in this place where I'm like, this is worse than a horror movie for me.
Okay.
What am I missing here?
Okay. I'll put that question on hold for the moment. Any other questions anybody else has to begin with, which may not necessarily be about triggers? Yeah, Pooja, go for it.
I would like to know if I'm staying with somebody who's having very, as she said, behavior. Yes, today we are talking, tomorrow we are not talking. And the behavior, the mannerisms, that triggers me a lot. So how do I deal with that?
What mannerisms trigger you?
Sometimes, that person instigates me or puts me down in front of somebody else. And sometimes today she's talking, tomorrow she's not talking. She's a family member. I cannot do anything about it. And it triggers me so much that I get so frustrated. I really don't know what to do.
Okay, cool. So I've got that. Anybody else? What triggers you? Yes, Satish.
Yeah, Smriti. So this is my elder son. Whenever and it's during this holiday time here in the UK,
Huh.
so he chooses to play computer games, or he's stuck with his phone, and that sort of triggers me sometimes. I understand he's an infinite being; he can choose what he wants, but still triggers me because if he's only with the phone or with his games, then yeah, I don't know. I've tried telling him, saying he has to choose something which he really enjoys or something will bring joy to himself. I'm not able to get my point across, and he's a teenager, so.
So what is your underlying point of view when he plays with the games? What is he doing that is not okay?
Yeah, I have a feeling. He's not 100% present, or he's not really enjoying it. the games. He wants to play with games because he wants to please his friends.
Okay.
They play this game together, his schoolmates. So yeah, I have this feeling he's doing this to please them.
Okay. And what's wrong with that?
Yeah, I don't know. So
So, but does being with friends or being accepted by friends give him joy?
possibly. But even when he's not playing, he's only about thinking about games, or he's lost into his phone.
Okay.
Uh,
Is he a very technically good kid? Like he's good with tech stuff?
he's good with max and grades and stuff. He plays outdoors. He's got some badminton trophy recently, before the lockdown. But since the lockdown, he's always stuck into his room. Yeah,
Is he somebody who's very good with tech stuff like gadgets, etc.?
I'm not so sure.
Okay, cool. All right. Anybody else?
Hi, Smriti. Darpana.
Hi, Darpana.
I wanted to ask you, keep somebody, like I'm very hardworking, okay? Do one minute. So, when genuinely I'm not well, and people talk, some people talk that I'm just acting, not to do anything. So that actually triggers me a lot when I come to know that behind my back, they're telling that I'm just making up stories and just trying to rest. When genuinely I know I'm not well, this triggers me a lot.
So, what is actually triggering you? That you're being called a liar? Or that you're pretending?
Yeah, I'm pretending. Yeah.
Or you're being invalidated? What is it that's really triggering you?
That is, I think, according to their own convenience, just backbiting, because that person knows also that I'm not of that type. But I don't know why, just to give an excuse to somebody, talk to somebody, just says that I'm trying to act, because that person knows that I can't sit. If I'm all right, I can't sit.
So it's somebody lying about you or misrepresenting facts about you that is triggering you?
Yeah, misrepresenting the fact, yeah.
Okay.
Just to show me down.
Okay, and showing you down, okay. And is also them backbiting triggering you?
Yes. When I come to know. If I don't come to know, it's okay. But when I come to know.
But when you come to know that they speak behind your back, does that act trigger you?
That doesn't trigger me much, because it's okay. Behind my back, let them do what they want to know.
Okay.
But false, that lies, that triggers me.
Okay. Got it. So I am not facilitating each person individually for a reason.
No, that's okay.
You will come to know. So that's why I want to get everybody's triggers first. And then I will talk about triggers generally. And I think most of you will be able to then see how it applies to your situation. So anybody else wants to share what triggers you?
Hi, I'm Kushi.
Yeah, Kushi.
I tend to lose motivation a lot. Like I start something and I don't complete it. I just leave it in the middle. What should I do for that?
Okay, so when you start something and you leave it in between, will you give me an example?
Like if I start studying, for an example, I just I focus for this initial 10-15 minutes, and then my mind wanders and I look into my phone continuously or something. I just don't study. My mind is not there.
So it's only with study this happens, or with other things too?
No, with other things as well.
Give me another example.
Like I wanted to start baking, and I wanted to do that course, and I started practicing at my home, but then I left it in the middle, and I don't do it anymore.
And what's wrong with that?
Just, I don't know. There's no motivation to go in the kitchen and do it.
Okay, so was your curiosity about baking satisfied with that little bit that you did?
Mm.
Did you realize that you don't enjoy it?
No,
You don't care for it?
I enjoy baking.
You enjoy baking,
Yes. But the only reason is, I mean, when I go, I feel like I'm too lazy and I just come back.
is that really true?
Yeah. Sometimes it happens.
Is it true that you're lazy?
Yes.
Okay, when you are doing something that you really love, for
Yeah.
example, dancing, which I know you do very beautifully,
Yeah.
do you give up after 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
No.
If you have to dance for half an hour or 1 hour, can you do it?
Yes.
Why?
Because I love it, like, from my heart.
Precisely.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So what we really love, we can spend hours doing it and not get bored, right? But something that we don't really like, okay, it's nice. It's maybe it's even enjoyable, or theoretically, I think I should enjoy it, but I really don't from deep down in my heart, then I will not really pursue it as much.
Yes.
Okay. Now, studies can get very tedious and very boring or something like that. So you've got to be willing to look at what is my point of view about studying, and then look at letting go of that point of view, which makes then the study tedious. Study doesn't have to be tedious. Study doesn't have to be boring, but you've got to then find ways of studying which will work for you. So certain people can study in 20-second increments, 20-minute increments, and certain people can study for hours. So if you're somebody who feels that, okay, I can study for about 15, 20 minutes, and then I get bored, fed up, then you've got to find ways in which you can study differently. So maybe you can study a certain subject for a 20-minute time, and then you can take like a 5-minute walk, just stretch your body, get some fresh air, maybe do a jig, do a little bit of a dance, get yourself like all happy again, and then come back to another 20 minutes
Yeah.
study, right? So you've got to find ways that will work for you and will make study more, to begin with, bearable, and then go on to become enjoyable.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
It's not like you're
Yeah.
lazy or anything like that. It's just that, it's a matter of interest, how much you interest. Like maybe if I was asked to sit and study a science book, I would not be able to study beyond 5 or 10 minutes. But if I was given a book on psychology or something to do with life transformation, I can read for hours. So it's a matter of how interested I am, how engaged I am with what I am doing as a project or as a study. Okay?
Okay.
Does this help? So if we have a project that we've got to do and we don't have a choice, then we've got to find ways to make it engaging and fun. And otherwise,
Yes.
doing just because we think we've got to do them, then we've got to learn to be authentic and see, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. I wanted to try baking. I enjoyed it while I did it. Now I'm quite done with it. So I'm cool. But not from the place of, oh, I'm lazy. Probably that's why. Like, I'm sure if your heart is that to bake a cake for somebody in your house whose birthday it is, and you want to really treat that person, I'm sure you will get into the kitchen and you will complete that entire task. Would you? Then you would, right?
Yes.
Because there's a objective, there's a target for which you're doing that. So when the target is something that will serve you, serve somebody,
Yes.
create joy, it will create happiness, then you're able to sustain the activity. But if it's something that you're just randomly doing, then you cannot, it becomes very difficult to sustain it. So look at why you're choosing to do something, and that will also give you an indication of what you can sustain and what you cannot sustain. And there's really nothing wrong when you can't sustain it. There's got to be something going on there which you need to look at. And if you change it, you will be able to sustain it. Okay? So some things you will do because you love that and you will not give up on it. But there are some things you've got to do, so you do them, and so you give up on it because it's not fun for you. But then try and bring some element of fun or some incentive for yourself so that you can sustain it. Okay? Because not doing it is going to create something that may not be very great. So you've got to do it, you've got to do it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else on triggers? Anything? Yeah, Ismat.
So similar issue to Khushi. It's like I want to do something. I start doing it. And it's something that is important to me. But something else comes along and I will abandon and move to the next thing. You know, I skip very easily. So, and I don't know about this trigger business. I've not really given it much thought. But today I was thinking, why don't I finish projects? Usually they are all half done. So that's...
So in Access Consciousness, there's a subject called, there's a topic called humans and humanoids. So there are two kinds of people who, you know, live on this planet, and there are humans and then there are humanoids. And there is a certain way humans function and there are certain ways humanoids function. And one of the things about humanoids is that they kind of get bored with projects far more easily, or they get what they need to get from that project, so they want to move on very easily. So if you look at Picasso, Picasso did not make one painting at one time. He would paint 28 paintings at one time because you tend to kind of get saturated, bored, fed up. And so you work on multiple paintings at the same time and you keep moving. In the long run, you create 28 paintings instead of creating none. So because you have that option to move from one project to another, to another, to another, and keep coming back to the older project as and when you want to and finish it. So
not to fight with yourself.
Sorry?
Not to fight with yourself.
Absolutely. Please understand that is also one of the characteristics of certain kind of people, where we cannot complete projects, not all necessarily, some we will and some we won't, but there are certain things I'm going to learn this and I'm going to join up this class. But after three of those classes, you get what you wanted to get. You don't have to really complete the course to get what you really wanted to get. So there's really nothing wrong with it. It's just a way of functioning. Yes, you've got to look at it if it's creating a problem, as in, abandoning that project midway is causing a loss. Then you've got to look at how can I do this in a way that I'll be able to complete it with ease, and then see what awareness shows up, and you will find a different way of doing it. And like I was sharing with Khushi, sometimes what we need to do is we need to work in 20-minute increments. Like if you're writing books, don't write one book, write 3 books at the same time, and write in 20-minute increments so that you can move from one book to another. And so it doesn't get boring, you don't get fed up, and you enjoy your writing experience, and you'll end up writing 3 books instead of 1.
Thank you. It's
just the way people function. There's nothing wrong with it.
Thanks.
You're so welcome. Okay, so let me talk about triggers then. Normally when any particular behavior, like Namrata talked about, you know, the sounds that people make while eating, or like Satish talked about, you know, how when his child plays on, you know, plays games just so that he can, you know, be with his friends and be liked by his friends, or whatever his reason may be. Or like when Pooja talked about how somebody does not talk to her nicely. And when she feels like talking, she will. And when she doesn't, she doesn't. And like Darpana talked about how people misrepresent the facts. And that is not true. And she does not like being lied about because that's really not true. So when we get triggered by any of these kind of behaviors, underneath that trigger is a point of view or a judgment that we have about that particular way of behavior. And when a person behaves in that way, which we already have a judgment about, we get triggered because we see it happening and, something comes up within us and we react. So the thing about judgments is that when you judge somebody for a certain behavior, you cannot judge something that you yourself have not been and done before in some lifetime. So you may say, like Darpana may say, but Smriti, I don't go backbiting. I don't say lies about somebody. I never do it. Yes, you don't do it in this lifetime. But there would have been some lifetime where you would have done that exact same thing. And our environment only reflects something that is within us. This is a law of the universe. Okay? Your environment will always reflect something that is within you. Okay? So, if you've got to have a judgment of it somewhere in your own life for you to recognize it when it's happening outside. And when you see it happening outside of you and it's triggering you, it's because you have a judgment of it. And you have a judgment of it because you have been there and done that in some lifetime or another. And so you have a judgment of that behavior. And most of the times it's a judgment that you have of your own self from those lifetimes. And when you see that occurring, you recognize it. And it starts bringing up all of those points of views, those judgments, those emotions from within you. And I have used this concept big time to change a lot of my reactions, because I am one of those people who would get triggered very easily by a whole load of things. And when I understood this concept, I said, wow. And I said, wow, I am going to change this about me. And so I started changing a lot of my reactions by, when I now see the person behaving in that particular manner, instead of, I try my best not to react and then go to everywhere I have been there and done that, I destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds is called the Access Clearing Statement. It's called the Clearing Statement. And you can read more about it on the website called theclearingstatement.com. And over there, the co-founder of Access Consciousness, Dr. Dane here, has explained it in a video. And you can watch that video and understand it even more deeply if you like. But basically, the clearing statement is something that you can use to change anything in your life. So when we bring up the energy of something that we would like to change by asking a question about it, when that energy comes up, you run the clearing statement. You ask, will you destroy and uncreate it? And when you say yes, you clear it by saying right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyond. So wherever that limitation was created in any lifetime, it gets cleared. Okay, so use it liberally. So everywhere I have been there and done that across lifetimes, dimensions, and realities, I destroy and uncreate it. So do this in response, run this clearing statement in response to everything that triggers you. It is triggering you because it exists, that button exists within you. What is that button? Is your judgment of you having done that same thing in some lifetime. I have changed my relationships with this. Now, does that mean that I don't get triggered anymore? No, I've not arrived there yet. But do I get triggered as much as I used to? No, I don't. A lot of triggers are gone now. Now when somebody, in fact, once the triggers go away, that behavior stops occurring in your universe. Because now you have addressed it, you've taken care of it. And if it does show up once again, maybe after some time, then that's another layer showing up. Is just telling you, hey, baby, more to clear. That's all it is. And it's nothing more than that. So everywhere I have been there, done that, works like magic, but it does not necessarily change everything like within 5 minutes of running it, okay? Sometimes you've got to run it for months, and sometimes you've had to run it, I have had to run it for, over a year or 2 years each time I got triggered. And then finally one day it was like gone. And also, along with running this, another thing that you can combine is something called allowance. Okay? Allowance is having no point of view about whatever it is that is triggering you. So if you are willing to be in allowance of how somebody is choosing to function, then that also contributes to changing the triggers. So allowance is very important, is what I feel. Consciousness includes everything, and consciousness judges nothing. It has no point of view about what somebody chooses. So allowance helps. At the same time, allowance does not mean that you have to be a doormat. It does not mean that you let anybody treat you however they feel like. They can't just come slap you, abuse you, and you say, oh, Smriti told me to be in allowance, so I have to let them do whatever they are doing to me. No, that does not mean that at all. Allowance means having no judgment of that particular person, of how they function, and yet being willing to see what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and being able to say that, hey, you know what, this doesn't work for me. So it's not about the other person being right, wrong, good or bad, but it's about willing to see what works for me and what doesn't work for me without going into rightness and wrongness. Okay, having no point of view about it. So when you have no point of view about something, it doesn't stick you and you don't solidify it, because what you judge, you solidify. And what you judge cannot contribute to you, because when you judge, you create a separation. So Satish, first I would begin with is Satish still there? First, I would begin with being in allowance of what your son is choosing, right? He is choosing to play games, even though your sense is that he doesn't really like that, but he does it so that he can be with his friends. So you've got to be willing to be in allowance of that desire to bond with friends. And you bond with over topics that are obviously common. And also at the same time, look at what exactly it is that is triggering you. What is the judgment? So it is like, let's say he's not being authentic. He's not being true to himself. If that is the underlying thing that is bothering you, then everywhere I have not been authentic and true to my own self, I now destroy and uncreate it. Or everywhere I have tried to fit in by doing things which I didn't really truly care for, I now destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all nine shorts, person, girl. That's something that I would invite you to look at. Right? So tell me if this is, if I've got this right, is that the sense that he is not being true to himself? He's like doing things forcefully, even though he really doesn't want to, just so that he can fit in? Satish, I can't hear you. You're on silent. You're on mute.
Yes, Smriti. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's the feeling I have, because he complains after playing games. He comes and complains his ankle is paining, and he doesn't even realize he's been twisting his ankle the whole time while he was playing. So yeah, he's not even sensing his own body. He's not being 100% there. So all that, maybe, but still it's a judgment from my side. I think I should give him that allowance.
Yes. And also ask him that, could you play with a little more awareness, be present for yourself as well, and don't twist your ankle? while playing? I mean, it's fun, but or do you really enjoy twisting your ankle? Because sometimes he must be enjoying it, and so he'd be creating it. So ask him a few questions, and that will probably get him to look at being more present. So right now the thing is, oh my God, I'm being judged, and I need to defend that. So hey, it's cool that you play. I mean, you know, everyone has to bond with friends some way or the other, and if this is the way your friends bond with you, fantastic. But however, in the bargain, I also love you, and you know, it's not even that. It's like, I mean, twisting that ankle, what does that create for you? Does that work for you? If it doesn't, can you be a little more present with your ankle as well? So that's all. Play, and that's the way to bond with friends, and so be it. But also look at what it's creating for you in this aspect of your life, and could you do something? Could you play in a way that you don't end up, twisting your ankle all the time?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Sure.
Yeah. And if you enjoy pain, go ahead, go twist it, no problem.
It's just that he's holding his ankle like that in a position while he's playing.
Yeah.
And he doesn't realize that.
Yeah. So instead of projecting, what happens is that we project and we expect. Like I expect you to play a certain way. I project at you how you should play. And that they can also perceive. So even if you want to have a conversation about it, they cannot have a conversation because they will put up an energetic barrier. Because for them, they're perceiving, right? All of us perceive, right? We are infinite beings. One of the characteristics of an infinite being is that we function from perceiving. We perceive stuff. So when the child perceives those projections and that expectation and a judgment, it also then creates that barrier and that separation, which does not then give you that platform where you could have a conversation and which could be received. So if there is no judgment and if there's no rightness and wrongness in your world, and then you have that conversation, that can be far more easily received than if it's coming with a judgment.
Yeah, I understand now. Yeah.
So try speaking in a different way with having no point of view and no judgment, and then see how that goes.
Okay, sure, Smriti. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
I see that working with me, so I can only offer you what works for me, and I've done it, I've used it, so it comes from there.
Okay.
We have a 14-year-old daughter, and the way we have conversations with her is very different than we would have had if we didn't have this awareness. And communication works brilliantly well. And there may be times when we have a suggestion, but it's just the way we present it that she can receive it with far more ease than she would if I was first judging her for it.
Yeah, there is some judgment from our side. Yeah, I think I need to drop that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And similarly, right, if you have a friend giving you advice about something, your friend may mean well, but if it is coming from a place of a judgment, would you be able to receive that advice? What you perceive first is the judgment. And the moment you perceive the judgment, there's a barrier that goes up, because a very natural instinct to respond with a barrier or a defense. So if you will do it if somebody does that to you, then similarly, anybody will do it if you do that to somebody.
Okay. Yeah, I think this will surely help with my other relationships as well, I think.
Yeah.
This is a very useful lesson. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
So, Pooja, Darpana, do you get this? That when somebody is doing something that is triggering you, start doing this, sweethearts. Everywhere I have been there and done that. I now destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds, and run it for months if you have to. And eventually you will see something changing. Okay? But till you keep judging that behavior, judgment is an act of unconsciousness. And if you would like something to change, you have to first bring in consciousness. Healing is a side effect of consciousness. So if you want some healing to occur, some change to occur, you have to choose something that is conscious over the unconscious that you've been using. So you've got to change that, and then things shift and they change. All right? Okay. So Namrata, did that give you any, did that open any door for you? I'm not too sure it did, but I'm just checking in.
So everywhere that I've been there and done that, I think you mentioned this in one of the calls of the same series, I think. And I said it. So I go through a bunch of tools when this starts happening, right? Because I can't always leave the room, or I wear earphones and I'll listen to like the 5 elements of intimacy, because allowance is a part of that. And I've said this clearing maybe once or twice a day, because sometimes that pops up. I'm like, okay, maybe it's that. Let me try it. But the discomfort is so much that the panic and the reaction. I'm going to try this. If you're saying it takes months and years, and this has been a long-standing issue for me, I've got to have more faith in it. That's all.
Okay.
Like, I've done it a few days. I've done it a few times.
May I ask you a question? And give me your awareness. Don't go into thinking. So, how many lifetimes have you been judged for being sloppy?
3.
All right. So everywhere you have been judged for being sloppy and slurpy, will you not just try and not create it?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, what, POC, all 9 shots, boys and girls.
Thank you.
So, how many times across lifetime dimensions and realities you were really enjoying your food your way and you were told that you don't know how to eat right? And everything that brought up, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, all 9 shots, boys and girls.
Thank you. I'm going to run this on a loop. Oh God, thank you.
So some way that becomes a judgment, right? That this way of eating is wrong, or this way of eating is bad.
These are people I like. I sit and chit chat. I bring coffees. They bring me food. And the minute she starts eating, I'm like, there are things in my head that explode with.
Yeah. So everywhere, I was judged for it. Here, the sense I'm getting is not everywhere I've been there and done that. Yes, you have been there and done that, yes, but there was a judgment attached to it, right? And which created a lot of judgment. And then that now kind of comes up. So bottom line still is judgment, but how that judgment came about to be a part of your universe may have been another story altogether. But it's not necessarily.
I don't care. I don't really care about that. But it rings that, okay, everywhere I've been there and done that. Yes, I have been there and done that, like you said.
Yeah.
That I've been judged for it.
Yeah, but somewhere that judgment became a part of your universe.
Yes.
This is not the correct way, and this is not the.
Can I provide an observation of what I've because I've been so that I don't want to react, and so I could easily have this conversation with them that, listen, it's causing me a lot of distress. I'm in therapy for it. Like, I've taken 3 hypnotherapy sessions, and it's insane, right? To have not be able to have this chat with ease. And I'm like, no, as long as I'm in reaction, I can't talk about this. Absolutely. And what I noticed is that if I'm completely relaxed, like relaxed to the point of being in the cloud, I don't feel it. It's when there is like a little bit of, there's something going on my screen, I have a phone call to take, and when I begin to start getting a little reactionary with stress, with work, I'm preoccupied, that just like sets me off. So if I'm on ground zero, I'm great. So thank you, because now that you're saying it's the judgment, it's that space where I'm contracted and this happens and then I explode because so maybe it's the awareness that I'm contracted as well. That's.
Yeah. So how much more space would you need to be to have a meal,
yes.
With them?
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Wow. Oh, I wasn't expecting this. Thank you so much, Radhi.
You're so welcome, my sweetheart. I hope I save you some hypnotherapy sessions.
Oh God. They're not fun. They're not fun at all. But yes, you are saving me a lot of money now.
Hmm. You can send me a commission.
Kaching, kaching.
All right. What else?
Hi, Smriti. This is Nosh.
Hi, Nosh.
Yeah, how are you?
Very well, thank you. I would love to see your face, though.
Okay. Actually, I'm not in a position and
Okay, no problem.
you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind.
Tell me.
So my question is about this subconscious and I would say some kind of a fearful feeling of people taking you for granted, because generally the situation starts with you try to be generally kind and forthcoming and try to be helpful, but then even in small things, because of the way you have evolved, you try to see how the other person is responding, and um, you just get a general feeling that people are taking you for granted,
Yeah.
and even in small things you start counting sometimes. So it's like the give and take or the serving relation you are kind of subconsciously expecting, and because of that, but that also is necessary, but I'm not able to draw the line.
Okay.
I get just too overwhelmed by people not trying to respect me, or in
Okay.
small things.
Okay.
Maybe sometimes with close friends I do try to talk it out, and they have their own view of how they have they are reciprocating and respecting, but then I still have the space of uh, discomfort sometimes in some situations. So how do I go about digesting this and dealing with people?
Dealing with people taking you for granted? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's your point of view about being rude?
So that's what I'm trying to do, but then it also sometimes sours the relations.
Okay.
So,
So, what's your point of view about losing people? Is it bad?
yeah, so that's what it comes to. Like, I try to be happy by myself, but then again their subconscious fear develops, what uses being lonely and all.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah.
So, so very often we don't want to say no. Very often we go along and do things that we really don't want to, because we want to fit in, because we want to be
Yeah.
liked, because we want to belong,
Yes.
right? And that very often occurs, and I'm only speaking from where I see it, and you may see it differently, but I'm just sharing what comes to me because I have been there and done that. I was a big time people pleaser, but it's only later that in the last few years, now I have been studying life-changing principles for the last 17 years now. I've been part of studying life change principles, and I've really changed my life using all of those principles. So when I started looking at it, there are few observations. One is that I wanted to belong. I wanted to be liked. Now, when I want to be liked and I'm not willing to be disliked, I will go ahead and do things which I don't want to do, but I will do them because I want to be liked. Now, when I am really desperately trying to be liked, somewhere deep down, I have a point of view that I am not good enough, or I'm not nice, or I'm not worthy. And hence, I have to do many things to prove to myself that I am somebody worth being liked.
Okay.
Okay. So, so very often we are seeking validation outside, or we are trying to belong, we are trying to fit in. Okay. So you've got to look at that. Where are you seeking to please because you're not willing to be not liked, so to say?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, the other place where people disrespect us is when we ourselves do not respect ourselves. So, like I said, what is inside is what gets reflected on the outside. So, I used to have a lot of people who would treat me badly. And Pooja, I'd like you to also to pay attention to this one. So what happened is that what I was guided, and this was very early years of me beginning to, apply these principles in my life through my Buddhist practice. And I realized that what is occurring outside is just a reflection of what's going on within me. And so I had to look at where all am I not respecting my own self. And so it is showing up in my environment with people disrespecting me. And as I learned to respect myself and stand up for myself, even if it meant losing people, it ended up that there are a lot of people who want to be with me, and a lot of people who adore me, respect me, and it's gone the other way around. So the more I respect me, the more I see it outside. So how you treat yourself and what points of views you have about yourself, even if you don't go about saying them, it's like energetically all over, and it can be perceived by everybody. At the end of the day, all of us are infinite beings. So when you have a judgment of you, I can also perceive it. And then I treat you just the way you treat you. So if according to you, you are not worthy and you treat yourself like a piece of rock, which can be kicked around, then people will treat you like that. But if you treat yourself like that precious diamond or some precious, thing, and you treat yourself like that, that's how people see you. Oh my God, this is a very precious diamond. And they treat you with that kind of love, that care, that respect, and all of that. So what are your points of views about yourself? And I think that's what you've got to look at. So once you change that, it will change on the outside. No change occurs on the outside. Change on the outside only occurs when there's a change within you.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I would invite you to look at that what do you think about you? What are your points of views about you? And what makes you want to be so nice and so kind all the time that people can take you for granted? And I've been down that route, and I've seen that occur in my own life. And somewhere along the line, I had to say, okay, you know what? I matter too. And if it's something that I don't feel like doing, if it's not something that I want to do, I will not do it. And if it means you're not talking to me anymore, so be it.
Right. Okay.
And I was willing to be alone as in not have a single friend in my life. I was willing to be, but I was not willing to sell myself short anymore.
Okay.
So I think when I stood up for myself is when, people started treating me differently. So again, it didn't happen overnight. It happened over a period of time, but it did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I understand truly the need for respecting and building ourselves.
Yes.
Foundation internally. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do. Thanks.
So please honor yourself. Please treat yourself with respect. And if somebody cannot like you just because you refuse to do something for them, tough luck.
Okay.
And people who are genuinely there for you and have your back will get it when you can't. They'll not hold it against you.
Yeah, I've seen that in some cases.
Yeah. So it's all right not to be able to deliver everything for everybody. It's all right. That doesn't make you less. It does not make you wrong. So please be kind to yourself.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Yeah.
You're so welcome. Similarly, Darpana, when you are unwell and you're not able to deliver what people expect, it is their expectation that is getting shattered, which is making them respond the way they do. So be willing to be wrong. And if you're willing to be wrong in the other person's eyes, there's really nothing much that will affect you. So it's often what we are not willing to be that sticks us. And when somebody says something about what we are not willing to be, it triggers us. But if you were willing to be, like in case of Darpana, if she was willing to be that person, okay, according to people, I pretend just so that I can escape doing things, fine. That's who I am. I mean, I don't have a problem being judged that way. Then it will not trigger when you're willing to be wrong. That's also another way, another aspect of triggers. When you're willing to be wrong, you don't get triggered. Because you know what's true for you. You don't have to sit and prove it to anybody and everybody. Because those who don't have to get, those who don't want to get it will not get it irrespective. And your justifications will not get you anywhere.
Yep.
So look at everywhere. I've been there and done that, Darpana, and also look at, be willing to be, whatever they are accusing you to be. Because infinite being can be everything. And infinite being can be everything without any judgment of it. So when I say infinite being can be anything, you can be whatever you require to be in that given moment, if that's what creates greater. So in that moment when you are being so-called accused of, pretending when you're genuinely not well, okay, I am a pretender. Receive it. Receive that accusation, receive that judgment, because when required, you can also be a pretender. So what? So be willing to be misunderstood. And if you're willing to be misunderstood, you won't get triggered. Does that help, Darpana? Okay.
Yes, Priti, very much.
Okay. So give this a shot, okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Anything else for anybody else?
Yeah, I wanted to ask.
Yes,
actually, so basically conflict really triggers me. Now this conflict can be between anybody happening in front of me, in my house, at my workplace. It really triggers me. I mean, to the extent that, I start crying and then people don't understand why she's crying because she's not even a part of the fight. And so I just like harmony, and then I go to whatever extent it takes to just create that harmony.
Okay, so Hema, would consciousness include conflict?
No. Yes.
So to conflict, is it a choice that people make?
Totally, it's a choice that they make.
So could you choose consciousness and be in allowance of the conflict they choose?
Oh, yes, I want to be that.
Okay. So what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can you and your body be to be allowance 24/7 with absolute ease? And everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes, totally.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So how much more allowance would you have to be to include conflict with absolute ease?
Megatons.
And everything that doesn't allow you to have that megatons allowance, will you destroy and uncreate it?
Yes, totally.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So because somewhere we have a point of view that conflict is a bad thing or a wrong thing, it triggers us. Does that mean that we cannot ask for harmony? Of course not.
Okay.
Of course we can ask for harmony. But if we judge conflict, will we solidify it further?
Totally.
Yeah. So if you take out the judgment, means you draw out you pull back the energy and you stop feeding it, does it then have a chance to dissipate?
Yeah. It does have, yeah.
Yeah.
I've not tried it, but it sounds very possible.
Yeah. So I have to have no point of view about it. Only then can I hold a space that can become an invitation for it to be something else. But if I am going to judge it till the cows come home, then I'm only going to create more of it.
Yeah. Totally.
So all the judgments you could be using to aggravate it, will you destroy and update it?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds.
So I will use this clearing. I will go back and listen to it and use it time and again.
Sure. So just choose more allowance. Would consciousness judge this? Just ask that. If I were choosing conscious in this moment, what would I choose?
Yeah.
If I were being a conscious being, what would I choose? Right? Then you will respond differently.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And if you have, and also all the distractor implants that keep those reactions in place, will you now destroy and uncreate them all, please?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. Just seeing your comments. Tina, Mambo. So welcome. Priyanka, you had a question?
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
So my question is just that I feel like when I think of conflict, I think that the maximum conflict I endure is with myself.
Okay.
It's not even with anyone outside. So I think often it's
Priyanka, I lost
it's a conflict between what I should be and what I...
Priyanka, I can't hear you, sweetheart. I've lost majority.
Can you hear me now?
Priyanka?
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay. I'm so sorry about that.
Not to worry. Tell me.
So I feel like the maximum conflict I have is with myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's this constant battle between what I essentially want to be and what I should be.
Okay.
And so I feel like the first person or thing that judges me is me.
Okay. So do you enjoy it?
No, of course not.
Okay. So what else could you choose then?
Joy,
okay.
Pride, acceptance.
Okay. So give me an example. What is it that you would really, truly like to do? And what are you doing instead because you should do it?
So I know it's going to sound very, very petty when I say this.
It's okay.
But like I hardly drink, okay, ever. Because because like my dad drinks a lot, and that's just not something that I've enjoyed as a visual. I mean, not that he is abusive or loud or like anything like that, but it's just I don't like the way that his personality transforms post alcohol.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I don't drink, because I just think that people who drink are badly behaved most times. That's my judgment, right? So now for me, alcohol is like a very touchy thing because I am borderline scared of people who drink too much, because I feel like they get loud and they get obnoxious and they don't have a handle on themselves. And I think a lot of that comes from few of my friends who get a little unbearable post alcohol.
Okay.
And then because I'm not the one who's drinking, and then when I'm the responsible one, I end up feeling responsible for them. And then I kind of look back and say, but I'm also 25 or 26, and I could also be having a gala time with my 2 glasses of wine. But here I am, like, having to deal with somebody who's had 10 shots. And now I have to be responsible for them. And so now I can't have a good time. So I'm torn between being the good friend,
okay,
and being like who I want to be. So that has resulted.
Okay, may I ask you, did they give you
Yes.
the job of being responsible for them? Or did you assume the job?
Earlier, I used to assume it. Now I'm given it.
Okay. And if you are not enjoying it, do you have the right to say no? Or are you bound
Yes.
by some
So
bond?
I've started to give it back. Where if I know that somebody is reaching a tipping point and I know that this person is then going to come and project everything that they are dealing with on me, and the moment I sense it, I leave. Like, so I leave like 15 minutes before a party is going to can, or I leave like 20 minutes before I see that someone's going to kind of, this thing. I'll just be like, listen, I have to go by. And like, because I'm not drinking, and then because I drive, and because I found a way to like remove myself from that situation.
Okay. But at the same time, you would still like to enjoy those 2 drinks?
Empowered enough to.
Priyanka?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So, and you, so enjoying your 2 drinks, is it something you truly desire?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and enjoy your 2 drinks. And let your friends know that, hey, I am not responsible for you. You're adults. Look after yourself. I've come here to have a good time, and I'm going to have a good time. And make sure you have a driver assigned for yourself to drive you home, of course.
Right, of course.
And you have a great time. Why are you depriving yourself of a great time?
So, like, this is just one example, but how do I resolve conflict where I end up judging myself, feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to be a bad friend if I don't take care of my drunk friend?
Well, by being true to yourself and seeing what is it that I truly desire. There's no harm in being there for your friends, but that does not mean that you have no right to enjoy yourself at all.
Right.
Okay? Because see, when you're doing something for a friend from this space of obligation, it's anyway no joy, no fun.
But that only comes for me with alcohol. Like, it doesn't, like, this feeling of this sour responsibility only comes when there's alcohol involved. When there's anything else, I do it with utmost joy because I really want to do it.
Okay, cool. So just acknowledge that about yourself. That, okay, alcohol triggers me.
Yeah.
Because I've seen I've had certain experiences, and so look at, okay, everywhere I have been, everywhere I have been there and done that across lifetimes, dimensions, and realities. I just try and uncreate it. So there would be lifetimes where you have been like a loud person and gone overboard and all of that. And so you have a whole lot of judgments about that. And because you have those judgments about it, you see more of it now in your universe because you have a judgment about it to begin with.
Right.
So it's like a continuous game because it's in me, it's outside of me. And because it's outside of me, it triggers something inside of me and I perpetuate it all the time. So what if you let go of your points of views you have about people choosing to function the way they function with alcohol? Because I know a lot of people who actually get really happy and they get wonderful instead of getting, horrible. So there are all kinds of reactions. Everybody processes it very differently. So it's not that just because one person behaves that way, everybody will. But if that's your point of view, then that will keep getting created outside of you as your reality.
So is there something I can say,
everywhere I've been there and done that? And also learn to honor yourself. Learn to honor yourself. When you have to say no, you have to say no. Like, hey, today I've come here to enjoy myself and I'm not a designated driver or caretaker And so please look after yourselves. You want to throw up? Go ahead. By all means, do it. But I am not here to look after you today. And then there will be times when you say, no, today I want to be the caregiver. Choose to be the caregiver. But do it from that place where you're aware of what you're choosing for yourself and what that's going to create for you, sweetheart.
Right.
Give me a second, Namrata. So I'm very for being there for my friends. I can be a great friend. But now I've also learned finally to say, no, I'm sorry. Doesn't work for me. Okay. Then when you are very clear about what works for you and what doesn't work for you, then there is no conflict. Then there's no judging yourself for it.
Right.
And you're okay. I mean, if that means I'm not a good friend, then so be it. Then I'm willing to receive whatever comes back to me as well.
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, to see Percy said she was a pretender.
Priyanka, we're losing you, sweetheart.
It was okay. Like, you have to be open to that. So if someone that you...
Yeah, so you've also got to be willing to be judged.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Namrata, go. Tell me.
No, I just wanted to share something for Priyanka, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So when I started drinking, I was like 22. I didn't know how to handle my alcohol, right? Like I would try different things and it would backfire. Like, you know, puking on the street, going to sleep on the footpath, being so drunk by 10 p.m. that I had to sleep at my friend's place. And you know what allowed me to do that? A responsible friend who was around to watch. The night that there was nobody was my wake up night. I didn't have an enabler. I didn't have somebody to fall back on. And because there was no one, it was like, okay, I need to sort this out for myself. You know, and I didn't resent anybody not being there. I'm speaking from what I'm 39. I used to be 22 when this happened. So
cool.
Now I have my wake up moments. So I'm not blaming you here. Please don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that my experience of not having somebody the third time I got drunk could have gotten me into trouble. But you know what? It was also a great lesson, like to know and be aware and not lose it completely because I don't have a fallback option. So I just thought I'd share that as well, like from a drunk friend point of view.
Thank you so much.
Like,
thank you so much.
You can never blame somebody that either you could be just as drunk as them, which makes them responsible, or just, it's okay. It's all right, you know?
Yeah. So I think be willing to look at what works for you. Like I said to Nosh as well, he's got to be willing to see what works for him. And if you're going to be doing something that is definitely not something you really want to do, but you're going ahead and doing it, what is your reason for doing it? And if it's creating something greater, fantastic. But if it's not creating something greater, then find another way.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Cool.
Smriti, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Anishi? Yeah. So Smriti, you know, there are sometimes in the family and you cannot speak couple of things, but that thing is really triggering you. So then, as what you said, maybe I cannot address that particular thing, but I can just say that whatever is triggering, I mean, I cannot precisely give the words that, okay, this is actually happening, but it is triggering me. So then I just say that whatever this is, I just give it up.
No, if there's something that is triggering you, what is your judgment of it? What is the judgment? And that judgment is of your own self in some lifetime dimension reality where you've done it yourself. That's why you recognize it now.
Okay.
See, right now, if I show you something that you've never seen before, ever,
Right.
okay, will you have a rightness or a wrongness about it?
No.
No, because you don't even know what it is.
Right.
But when I have a rightness and a wrongness, it's because I know it from some place.
Right. I have a reference point for it.
Where is that reference point coming from? If not from this lifetime, then it'll be from some other lifetime. But you have a reference point for it.
So then maybe if I cannot give up a definition with a words for that, so then can I just do that everything that is triggering me, can I connect to that refer point and poke and pod it?
Just go everywhere. I've been there and done that.
Okay, okay.
I
got it. Yeah.
That represents whatever that is that's bothering you and triggering you. Everywhere I've been there and done that.
Right.
It works brilliantly well.
Right. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome. Okay, so Pooja, you wanted to know about allowance. So allowance is where you have no point of view, as in there's no rightness or wrongness about something. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Let's say all of us were in a big room and we were given an object to draw, which is put up on a wall. And all of us were given paper, drawing materials, and all of us were equally proficient at drawing. Now, everybody is sitting at different places in the room and drawing that particular object. Will everybody's drawing look the same? No. Why? Because everybody is seeing it from a
different perspective.
Different point of view.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody is seeing it from the side and seeing it as angular, so the drawing will be angular. Somebody is seeing it right in the front, so it will be flat, horizontal, and you do calligraphy and all of that. So I understand that you get a perspective, right? On dimensions. So now nobody's drawing is wrong. Everybody's drawing is right from their point of view. So allowance is interesting point of view. Like I am in allowance of your point of view being right from your point of view.
Your point of view, okay.
If you are judging me as something from your point of view, that's how I appear.
Okay.
Okay, and you're right from your point of view. But do I have to align and agree with you? No. But do I have to resist and react to your point of view? No. Because you're neither, you're not wrong. You're not, it's just what it is from your point of view.
Point of view, okay.
Okay? Now let's say if somebody is looking at a red rose wearing blue glasses and says, no, this is not a red rose, this is purple. They are not wrong. Why? Because they're looking through a purple
filter. Perception. Yeah, perception. Okay.
You're not looking at it from a blue filter, so you see it as red.
Red. Okay.
The rose is red. But how you see it differs based on your filters.
Okay.
So being an allowance is having no point of view.
Okay.
Interesting point of view that I have that point of view.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. So like if I have a point of view that slurping while eating is a bad thing, then it's going to bother me because I have a point of view about it. If I have a point of view that doing things with your friends, even though you don't like doing it, but you're doing it just so to fit in is a bad thing, then it is going to bother me because I have a point of view about it. Okay? And hence being an allowance is very important to not get triggered. Cool.
Smriti, you pulled the guns out on our triggers today.
Oh my God, I can't tell you, Namrata, how much I have changed so many things in my life by using this everywhere I've been there and another. Like in that moment, I want to slap that person for what they're saying or how they're behaving or what they're doing. But I know it is not about them. It is about me. I've got to look at this. This person, by that behavior, is being an invitation in my life to be able to see what all I have been up to and now change it. And to truly choose consciousness over unconsciousness by being in allowance. And I'm not saying that, I'm not necessarily saying that it's not been easy for me, and I'm still learning. I'm still work in progress, but I've come a long way, is what I will say. But I'm not there yet. Like, I have not become like, all arrived, nothing triggers me anymore. No. But it's not as bad as before. And there's so much more ease in my life because of that. And like nowadays, what happens is sometimes I'm seeing that I'm going into a trigger, and then I just start laughing. So there I go again, that kind of a thing. And I've started laughing at my own self. And it's so funny.
Do we have time for one question? Or
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. So I've experienced how you say that as soon as you get rid or clear the judgment or the point of view, those situations disappear. And I've seen that happen with me.
Yeah.
This has popped up again. So obviously it's showing up to get cleared at another level, another dimension.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of your own to share about how something just dissipated as a situation when you got to your point of not having a judgment about it off the top of your head? Like for me, some people behave differently with me just out of the blue. Till I was getting like into the reaction, they would keep like being mean to me. And then just as soon as I became, what is it about this? And, didn't feel reaction, they changed their behavior immediately. It's almost like they didn't even need my response, or like my boss would be very like nasty. And, I did my first bars class with you, and I tried that tool the first time with, okay, interesting. What is here? What is this? What can I do with it? And he just he moved his seat away.
Yeah. So I used to have a lot of, this is like in the beginning of my journey, okay? I used to have a lot of judgment about judgmental people.
What?
Not realizing how judgmental am I being in when I'm judging somebody for judging. Am I not being judgmental myself? Kind of a thing. So I have this whole thing about if somebody's being very judgmental or critical or something like that, it would like bother me a lot. And then I started doing like everywhere I've been there and done that, and everywhere I still do it, kind of a thing. I destroy and uncreate it. And I started choosing more and more allowance. And I'm in a great place now. Much, much, much greater place. Do I not judge at all? Of course I do judge. But as much as I used to, no. And I catch myself very quickly now. I also see that I'm able to, even if I do slip, I catch myself pretty quickly, and I kind of work on it very quickly. And I've seen lots of beautiful changes because of that. It's amazing. I have some phenomenal relationships today because I have been willing to look at everywhere I have been there and done that. So it's not so much about the other person anymore. They will choose to do what they will choose to do and be. But if I am getting triggered, there's something that they are inviting me to. And it could be from an unconscious place that they're inviting me to it, but they're inviting me to make some shifts and changes in my own life and get rid of something that should have gotten rid of on my own, but I didn't. And now here's somebody showing me, hey, you got this in you. You want to get rid of it now? And I take that invitation. Instead of sitting and wasting my time making them wrong, I look at it, okay, how can I use this to my advantage? What is it that I need to do here? What is it that I can change here? And I just look at it for my own self. So, in fact, I will do this conversation, maybe, I had done a conversation on life is talking to you. Are you listening? So life is always showing you what you need to change within you. Always. only if you're willing to listen. It's very easy to change your life. You've just got to be willing to see what your life is showing you. But because we're so busy judging our life and everything that's happening, that we can't see what gifts it's bringing to us.
Smriti, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Smriti, see, in my case, I always was a very good daughter-in-law and everything. And after my husband expired, everything changed for me. You know, people's behaviors, people's reaction. Those same people who used to always be there for me, all of a sudden they dissipated from my life. And consciously they moved away from me. And then when they really wanted, they did not stand by me at that time, was the time I realized that do I really need these people in my life? And so I started moving differently. I started, then I didn't start to bother, I also started overlooking their needs. So when I moved away, they passed judgments about me. First, it used to affect me, but now it is like, fine, I am not doing it. So even if I'm doing it, they're talking about me. I'm not doing it. So whether they talk or whether they don't talk, doesn't make any difference to me. That was the attitude that I've developed now, And then it is, I don't know, it is something very different kind of a feeling, as if nothing is touching me now. Nothing hurts me.
So is that a bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. At least I am at peace with myself. But then sometimes, I question myself that am I right? Where does that come from?
I think what you've got to look at is it working for you? It's not so much about rightness. It's not about rightness and wrongness. Do you enjoy the freedom you have now?
Of course, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. When you are not governed by what other people think of you, right. Okay, wherein you're not functioning from the place of trying to, score certain positive judgments or avoid negative judgments, when you're functioning from, this is what works for me, this is what I'm going to do, isn't there a level of freedom that you have?
It's a level of freedom and it's a great peace of mind.
Then it's working.
Nothing is affecting me. It's working for me.
For you, then how does it matter?
Okay. No, it doesn't matter. I was just thinking why is it that I question myself that am I right, am I wrong? I mean, I am fine with it. Then why do I need to question myself?
Well, we from the time we were born, or at least from the time we started moving about, right? Mm-hmm. There's been that what you did is right, what you did is wrong. You don't behave this way. So we've been like, we're kind of addicted to rightness and wrongness.
Right.
So how do I make myself pathetic? Oh, let me judge myself more.
Okay.
So we're looking for things to find judgments about ourselves, to judge ourselves. So don't go there. If it's working for you, it's working for you, sweetheart. Somewhere you have learned to honor yourself and be there for yourself when nobody was there for you. So
yes,
it's pretty cool. And then there are people who will be still very beautiful people in your life who are willing to contribute to you and be there for you with no agendas, and enjoy receiving those people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. What would go against you is if you generalize that everybody is like that.
No, not everybody, but there are some people like, I really want to avoid, and I definitely avoid. Unless and until it's very necessary, I don't get into it.
Yeah. So we have something called 10 Keys to Total Freedom. There's a book called 10 Keys to Total Freedom by Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access Consciousness. And in that, there's one of the keys to total freedom is no exclusion. So by all means, look at all the people who are not a contribution in your life and have nothing to do with them, but do not exclude them. As in, do not separate from them from a place of judgment is the only invitation I would like to extend to you, that it's okay to choose not to interact with somebody, but do not do it from the place of they were right or they are wrong.
Okay.
So don't do it from the place of rightness and wrongness, but do it from the place of, hey, this doesn't work for me, and so I'm choosing not to be with this person, but it is not from the place of separation. that they're right or they're wrong. Be willing to include all people in your universe, which doesn't mean that you have to hang out with them, but do not separate from a place of judgment.
Okay.
Because what you judge cannot contribute to you. So even those kind of people can energetically contribute to you if you are willing to not separate from them.
Okay.
So mind you, I'm not saying that you have to be friends with them, go out with them, meet them, talk to them. No, but do not judge them.
Okay.
They chose what they chose to function the way they functioned. But be an allowance of what they chose. And yet at the same time, be willing to see what works for you. And if you have a judgment of, oh, they were selfish, or they were people who, what is the judgment?
No, I have no judgment whatsoever.
Okay.
I don't interfere with them,
Cool.
but I stay away from them.
Cool, which is fine. But at any point of time, if there is a judgment for anybody, oh, you know, people are like this and people are like that, they take advantage, they are users, then everywhere I have been there and I have done that.
No, it's nothing like
Okay.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's nothing
Cool.
like that. I
Cool.
stay away from them. That's all.
Fair enough, which is perfect. Enjoy the freedom, sweetheart. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just something that functions for you in this point of time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, suppose I'll just give you one small example. Like my father-in-law. I mean, you know, you do whatever you do for him, you cook for him, he'll like it, he'll eat it, and then he'll say, "Arey, ye aisa tha, ye waisa tha." So fine. One day I told him, I said, "Wo jaisa bhi tha, you want, you make it. I'm not making it for you. You can get it made from anybody else you want, because I'm not going to do it, because how long am I going to take it?" So he said, "Okay, don't do it. Somebody else will do it." And then he started getting it done from people, you know. And finally, then one day he came and said, "Nahi, nahi, ye cheez to teri hi achhi banti hai. So fine, whenever you want it, you tell me, I'll make for you."
Cool.
But otherwise, I'm not going to say that, "Okay, now I'll cook for you." No, that is not going to come from me, because I'm fine without cooking for you.
Cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong in that. And I'm not judging him also. It's like, okay, fine. You don't like it. Even I don't like it. Period.
Fair
Finish.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
So
absolutely
that's what it is. Like, it's like these kind of things I stay away from, you know.
cool. You've got to see what will create the greatest.
Yes. Okay.
I think bottom line is that what will create the greatest.
Okay.
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 So I'd like to say thank you to everybody for coming out tonight and being a part of this conversation. I am so grateful for each of you. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No, pleasant.
Smriti, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
It has been a very, very lovely session. It was very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sima. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you.